This week, gas in America hit $4.53 a gallon, the highest in 19 months. The same week, the U.S. personal savings rate sits at 3.6%, the lowest in 4 years, and 59% of Americans still can't cover a $1,000 emergency. If those three numbers feel connected, they are. They're the same story, told three different ways. And in the next 12 minutes, I'll show you exactly how much this is costing your household every single month, and the $140 a month you can claw back starting today that almost no other finance channel is talking about. I'm WealthStackHQ. This is the channel where we take whatever just hit the news and translate it into specific, calculator-checked moves you can make this week. No fluff, no fear, real numbers. Here's where we are. On February 28th, the war in the Middle East spilled into the Strait of Hormuz. 40% of the world's seaborne oil moves through that strait. Within 72 hours, oil futures spiked, and the situation just got worse. This week, two more ships were attacked near the UAE coast and off Oman. Gas at the pump in the US went from $2.94, where it sat through January, to $4.53 today. That's a 54% increase in 3 months. Across the entire U.S. economy, that adds up to about $509 million a day in extra fuel spending. Money that used to flow into restaurants, into Roth IRAs, into emergency funds, into Friday night pizza, now it flows into your gas tank. That's the headline number, but it's not the personal one. The personal number is what I want you to fix. Because in the next 10 minutes, you're going to see exactly how much the gas spike is pulling out of your specific household budget every month, and 3 concrete moves that put it back. Not vague, drive less advice. Specific dollar amounts you can act on by Sunday night. Stick with me. Let's start with what you've already noticed at the pump. Pre-war, in late January, the average gallon of regular in the US was $2.94. As of this week, it's $4.53. Source: U.S. Energy Information Administration Weekly Retail Survey, week ending May 14th. That's a 54% jump. It rippled fast. The March Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, the inflation gauge the Federal Reserve actually watches, printed at 3.5% year over year, up from 2.4% in February. The single biggest one-month jump in the PCE in 18 months. Energy was the main driver. The energy index rose 10.9% month over month in March alone, and gasoline specifically jumped 21.2%. That's why, on April 29th, the Federal Reserve held rates steady at 3.5% to 3.75%, and 4 governors openly dissented. 3 wanted to hike, 1 wanted to cut. That's the biggest split in a Fed decision since October 1992. Wall Street is now pricing in 0 rate cuts for the next 12 months. Why does that matter for your wallet? Because the 30-year mortgage rate, which dipped to 5.99 in early February, is now back above 6.3%. Credit card APRs, which tracked the same path, are sitting at 24.6% on average. The cheap money window quietly closed 2 months ago, and very few people noticed. Meanwhile, the personal savings rate dropped to 3.6% in March, the lowest reading in 4 years. Source: Bureau of Economic Analysis, April 30th release. The median emergency fund halved over the last 12 months from about $10,000 to about $5,000. And aggregate U.S. credit card balances just crossed $1.3 trillion, with delinquency at 3.3%, about 50% above pre-pandemic levels. That's the macro picture. Now let's translate it. Pretend you're a household. I'll call the median commuter family. 2 earners, 1 car each, both driving 12 miles each way to work 5 days a week. Standard suburban setup. Each car gets 25 miles per gallon. So daily round-trip fuel, 24 miles divided by 25 mpg, equals 0.96 gallons per car per workday. 2 cars times 220 workdays a year times 0.96 gallons gives us about 422 gallons of commuter fuel per year per household, roughly 35 gallons a month. Now let's price it. In late January at $2.94 a gallon, that 35 gallons cost the household $103 a month. Today, at $4.53, the same 35 gallons costs $159 a month. The pure commuter delta is $56 a month. But that's only the commuter cars. Add weekend driving, errands, the second tank a month routines, and the realistic full household fuel delta lands at about $95 a month. Then layer the ripple effects. Groceries. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports a 1.7% increase in food at home prices since the oil shock began, driven by trucking costs. For a family spending $800 a month on groceries, that's another $14. Utilities, natural gas heating prices, trace the oil curve. The Energy Information Administration shows a 6% average bump on residential gas bills in March. For a typical $150 bill, that's another $9. Then there's the silent category, the stuff with petroleum in the supply chain. Plastics, asphalt, delivery fees. The Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that broad category adds another $20 to $30 a month for an average household. Added up, 95 on direct fuel, 14 on groceries, 9 on utilities, 22 on indirect petroleum costs. That's $140 a month per typical household, $1,680 a year, out of a budget that wasn't built for it. That's where the savings rate went. That's why the median emergency fund halved. That's why 59% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency right now. It isn't because people got lazy, it's because a $140 bill quietly arrived every month, and nobody mailed it. The pump just took it. Now let's get it back. Before I walk you through the fix, one more important fact, because this is the contrarian piece of the story. Most personal finance advice you'll see this month says the right move is to cut your discretionary spending. Skip the lattes, cancel the streaming subscription, pack your lunch. Here's the data. The Federal Reserve's most recent consumer spending breakdown shows that for the median U.S. household, total monthly discretionary spending, restaurants, entertainment, subscriptions, all of it combined, averages around $290. The skip the latte math, even taken to the extreme, finds maybe $40 there. Maybe. The $140 we just identified is in your fixed costs. Fuel, groceries, utilities, supply chain. That's where the money is actually leaking. The advice to cut lattes is fighting the wrong battle. Worse, and this is the part nobody is saying out loud, the discretionary spending is exactly the spending that keeps you sane while the macro environment grinds on you. Cutting all of it doesn't make you wealthier, it makes you miserable. Misery doesn't compound, so we're going to leave the lattes alone. Instead, we're going to do 3 very specific things. Each one targets a fixed cost. Each one has a calculator-checked dollar amount attached. And by the end of the next 10 days, your household budget will look fundamentally different. The total recovery target, and I'll show you the math, is $140 a month back. Some households will recover more. The floor for almost any household with 2 cars and a mortgage is $120. Here's the plan. Step 1. Lock your fuel cost. This is the move with the highest dollar return per minute of your time. Here's the stack. First, get a Costco, Sam's Club, or Costco equivalent fuel membership in your country. In the US, Costco gas runs an average of 23 cents a gallon below the national average. At our 35 gallons a month, that's $8 a month instantly for a one-time membership cost of about $65. Payback period, 8 months. After that, pure savings. Second, install GasBuddy or your country's local equivalent, not as advice, as a habit. Set it to alert you the morning before your usual fill day. The price spread within a 5-mile radius of most U.S. addresses is 19 cents a gallon. That's another $7 a month. Source, GasBuddy Quarterly Survey, Q1 2026. Third, and this is the one most people skip, switch one of your spending cards to a fuel rewards card. The Sam's Club MasterCard pays 5% back on fuel up to $6,000 a year. The Citi Custom Cash and the Discover It both rotate to gas categories quarterly, paying 5% back. On 35 gallons a month at $4.39, that's about $7 a month back. Fuel stack total, $22 a month. Step 2. Reroute the delta to a high-yield savings account. The trick here is automation. The fuel savings disappear if they sit in your checking account. They get absorbed by other spending. So the same week you make the fuel changes, set up an automated transfer of $140 from checking to a high-yield savings account on the day after your paycheck lands. Top US HYSA rates in May 2026. Marcus by Goldman Sachs at 4.30% APY. Discover Online Savings at 4.25. Wealthfront at 4.5, though Wealthfront requires a checking link. Australia equivalent Macquarie Cash Management Account at 4.4%. UK Trading 212 Cash ISA at 4.5. 140 a month at 4.3% APY annualized gives you 1720 principal saved in year 1 plus about $38 in interest. That's 1758 in 12 months. Routed automatically. You will not miss it. Step 3. The 30-day energy reset. Thermostat at 68 in winter, 76 in summer. Each 1 degree closer to the outside temperature saves about 3% on your heating and cooling bill. For a typical $180 bill, that's about $5 per degree per month. Replace remaining incandescents with LEDs, about $4 a month on a typical lighting load. Run major appliances off-peak. Most US utilities now offer time-of-use pricing that's 20 to 30% cheaper between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. That's another $8 to $12. Energy reset total, $25 a month. Add it up. Step 1. Fuel stack, $22. Step 2. The reroute and the HISA interest, about $3 in month 1, scaling. Step 3. Energy reset, $25. We're at $50 in concrete monthly savings, but the real number is $140. Why? Because the reroute step doesn't just save money, it captures the full $140 that the gas spike was already pulling out of your account. The fuel stack and the energy reset are gravy on top. The reroute is the structural move. That's $1758 in your savings account. 12 months from now, that wouldn't have been there. Plus another $47 from the gravy. Approximately $1,805 per year. If gas prices come down, fine. The fuel stack still pays. The HISA still earns. The energy reset still sticks. None of these moves are bets on the macro environment. They're efficiency upgrades that pay regardless. Here's the bigger lesson, because this video isn't only about gas. Every time the macro environment shifts, inflation, rates, oil shock, currency move, tax law change, there's a $140 a month leak somewhere in your household budget that you can find in 20 minutes if you know where to look. The pattern is always the same. Spot the macro shift. Find where it shows up in your fixed costs. Build a small stack of moves that compound. Repeat next quarter. That's WealthStackHQ. We do this every month with the news peg of the moment. If this saved you $140, subscribe. The next episode walks through the new SALT cap and the car loan deduction in the OBBA tax bill, both of which are quietly worth more than this gas fix for most households. Thanks for watching.